Rivalries are common in American history, ranging from those among sport teams to among cities. One of the fiercest occurred between the Pennsylvania Railroad and the New York Central Railroad. These two railroads were the oil and water of the railroad world. They were the domineering rail lines connecting the ports and industries in the Northeast with the West. A fascinating episode of their rivalry led to the creation of America's first superhighway. In 1881, William H. Vanderbilt, president of the New York Central and Hudson River Railroad, noticed a railroad under construction paralleling his own between the New York City area to Buffalo. It ran along the opposite shores of the Hudson and Mohawk rivers to where the New York Central Main Line ran. The railroad's name was the New York West Shore and Buffalo, or known simply as the West Shore. The railroad was part of a scheme to create a transcontinental link and to break the monopoly of the New York Central, i.e., to put a dent in Vanderbilt's coffers. Vanderbilt moved fast. He bought the West Shore's connection at Buffalo, the Nickel Plate Road, and created a rate war which drove the West Shore into bankruptcy. Its receivers were individuals from the Pennsylvania Railroad, who Vanderbilt suspected was behind the West Shore to begin with. He decided to retaliate. The Pennsy, as it was known, enjoyed its own monopoly between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, much to the chagrin of Pittsburgh elites, particularly steel barons such as Andrew Carnegie. William H. Vanderbilt approached them with a plan. He sought their backing to build and finance a new railroad named the South Pennsylvania Railroad. Its goal? To compete with the Pennsy over the Allegheny Mountains. Carnegie especially was excited. The proposed route would serve his Homestead steel plant directly. He convinced other wealthy Pittsburghers to invest. The plan was in motion. Surveyors and engineers began working on the route. Vanderbilt started investing in rail lines to be friendly connections, such as the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie and the Philadelphia and Reading, connecting in Harrisburg and then on to Jersey City/New York City. Construction began on a railroad that crossed 6 mountain ridges using numerous tunnels, curves, and overcoming steep grades. The Pennsy took notice and started slashing rates on its own rail line, which the Central responded to in kind. The intensity of this competition was causing the stock value of each respected railroad to plummet and cause panic among shareholders. The madness had to stop. J.P. Morgan, who recently helped Vanderbilt sell New York Central shares to foreign investors, stepped in to mediate the affair. He was concerned that the rate war would spread to other railroads, decimating Wall Street. He called for a meeting of representatives from the Pennsy and the Central on his yacht, the Corsair. The meeting occurred as the ship sailed in the waters around New York City, preventing anyone walking out of the meeting until a deal was struck. The deal created in short dictated the Central would take the West Shore and the Pennsy would take over the unfinished South Pennsylvania, each repaying each other's debts from the now quelled conflict. J.P. Morgan's renown grew with this deal, making him the dominant force in railroads and by extension the American economy. One could argue Vanderbilt won, for the West Shore became the more direct route for rail freight, and today its main line is still used by CSX transportation along the Hudson to access the ports in northern New Jersey. The Pennsy did not do anything with the South Pennsylvania. The unfinished railroad with its graded right-of-way and blasted tunnels sat incomplete and unused. In the 1930s, the state of Pennsylvania barely had any highways. Automobiles, now becoming the dominant form of transportation, dealt with steep grades and sharp curves in the Allegheny Mountains. Accidents were common. A state-of-the-art toll highway was proposed in 1934 to solve this, possessing 4 lanes across with a median with controlled access via an on and off ramps. To save costs, it would be built on the abandoned South Pennsylvania Railroad right-of-way. Adapting its tunnels, already bored, cut down costs significantly. 1935 saw the creation of a feasibility study by the Pennsylvania legislature, and the following year the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission was created. In 1938, funding was acquired via bonds and a $24 million grant from the Work Progress Administration, approved by President Franklin Roosevelt. A loan from the Reconstruction Finance Corporation and an additional grant from the Public Works Administration secured more funding. The Pennsylvania Turnpike can be considered a New Deal project. In building the Turnpike, 6 of the original railroad tunnels were used. The road would open in 1940 as America's first long-distance limited-access highway. It would be the yardstick of which other highways would be measured. It served as an inspiration for the New Jersey Turnpike, the New York State Thruway, and the Interstate Highway System. Today, though original parts have been bypassed, 3 of the original railroad tunnels built by Vanderbilt are still used by America's first superhighway.